we don't go away from the controversy. We go towards it when it's telling the truth. Has been listed in the latest lawsuit with a bunch of other people, including the Russian government and President Trump. Roger Stone, what is this really all about?
Well, Alex, there's nothing quite like waking up for a hearty breakfast, you know, the kind Winston Churchill used to enjoy, and then learning that you have been sued by the Democratic National Committee, the official apparatus of the Democratic Party, and your co-defendants are the Russian state, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Russia, the GRU, someone allegedly calling themselves Guccifer 2.0, a bunch of Russian names I don't recognize, somebody named Joseph Mifsud, WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Donald J. Trump for President Inc., Donald J. Trump Jr., Paul J. Manafort Jr., Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, George Papadopoulos, Rick Gates, and menacingly John Doe's 1 through 10. Alex, this is a left-wing conspiracy theory. They can't prove this anymore in a court of law than they can in the court of public opinion.
Sure, no. I mean, their whole Russia investigation just fell apart, so they're just rebooting a new one to act like they've got something. We'll come right back with Roger Stone exclusively here. Sued along with the GRU, the Russian military, the Russian government, the president. I wonder if I'm one of the John Does, because the Democratic Party itself has filed a massive, massive lawsuit against Roger Stone and against the president and against Russia, and Roger's going to pick it all apart and destroy it right now. But doesn't this really mean that the whole Mueller thing has fallen apart completely? They admit that. They've moved on to sexcapades and things with Trump's lawyer. So they're trying to reboot it here to have another fake lawsuit, which they then use as PR so that their willing accomplices in the media can parrot the deception, Roger.
I mean, the problem here is Alex, is the same. It has to be seen within the broader context of what's going on. InfoWars being sued in a series of malicious, baseless, meritless, but salacious suits designed to get negative headlines. My being sued by a Project Democracy. This lawsuit is essentially a knockoff. It's a one-off of a lawsuit that's already been filed. It is not a winnable case in a court of law because it's a left-wing conspiracy theory. It strings together a series of events but provides no evidence of collusion. There's no there there. They have no proof of collusion by the Russian state. They cannot prove that the DNC was hacked. Ironically, the reason the DNC can't be penetrated on that question is the plaintiff's unwillingness to let the FBI or anyone else examine their servers. How curious. How flawed is this lawsuit? But it's meant to grind you down, as you know. They're trying to grind InfoWars down. They're trying to ground me and the Stone Cold Truth crowd. It costs you thousands of dollars just to fight these and have them dismissed or defeat them. I was sued in Manhattan for defamation in a politically motivated suit. I won before an overwhelmingly Democratic jury. They didn't have a case. There is no case here. But Alex, listen to this star lineup of defendants. I'm being sued with the Russian Federation. The General Staff of the Armed Forces is the Russian Federation, GRU. A GRU operative using the pseudonym Guccifer 2.0. Well, there's some supposition in your documents, buddy. Somebody named Joseph Mifsud, never heard of him. Julian Assange, the crusading journalist, WikiLeaks, Donald J. Trump for President Inc., Donald J. Trump Jr., Paul J. Manafort Jr., Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, George Papadopoulos, never met the guy, Rick Gates, and John Doe's 1 through 10, one of whom is most certainly Alex Jones.
Political activity like this is barred against people from the other party or other operatives. Clearly, the Republican Party should come in and finance the counter to this. If there's a new precedent where the Democratic Party with its billions of dollars can start suing people, Katie, bar the door. I mean, this is so authoritarian, Roger.
Well, look, the good news here is that when you go down through this list of plaintiffs, the only one the only defendant, pardon me, with deep pockets who must defend, is the Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated, the president's campaign, which is more than solvent. And they're going to have to be in court. My guess is they're suing people unsuable in the United States. And as they're suing the Russian state, I don't think they'll be sending lawyers. They're suing the general staff of the armed services of the Russian state. I don't think he's going to be showing up. It's a frivolous lawsuit. It's meant for the PR. Listen to what we are charged with, Alex, since you're most likely in the John Doe list.
It's a giant stunt. I mean, that's all. It's just a giant stunt to put all their fantasies in there and act like it's real again. Like the lawsuit saying that I'm saying that nobody died at Sandy Hook in the last few years, and that I'm bullying the families when I'm begged Megyn Kelly not to bring it up in her interview with me, and I have it on tape. Then she goes, "How dare Alex Jones bring up Sandy Hook in our interview?" There's nothing sacrosanct. She actually says it. He's so horrible that in my interview he brought it up. She just kept bringing it up, kept bringing it up. She is an absolute fraud. God, she makes me sick. Go ahead, sorry.
Alex, you're kicking a corpse. Look at her ratings and the trajectory of her career after her trip to Texas. Look, they tried every trick in the book. They interviewed you late at night. They turned up the heat in the rented house where it was shot to 100 degrees to make sure you'd perspire. They shot you from below to make you look satanic. And guess what? You still kicked her butt. So, I know how this one came out. This is extraordinary in that we are charged with computer fraud and abuse, RICO conspiracy, violation of the Wiretap Act, stored communications, misappropriation of trade secrets, Washington, D.C. Uniform Trade Secrets Act, trespass, I presume that's the alleged break into their servers, conspiracy to commit trespass. This is a hoax. Whoever filed this should be held up for sanctions. They have no case. It's a left-wing conspiracy theory by a bunch of zany left-wing conspiracy theorists. Some lawyer at Project Democracy is probably having a relationship with someone at the Democratic National Committee, so we reproduce the same phony, bogus, meritless.
In my interview, he brought it up. She just kept bringing it up, kept bringing it up. She is an absolute fraud. God, she makes me sick. Go ahead, sorry.
Alex, you're kicking a corpse. Look at her ratings and the trajectory of her career after her trip to Texas. Look, they tried every trick in the book. They interviewed you late at night. They turned up the heat in the rented house where it was shot to 100 degrees to make sure you'd perspire. They shot you from below to make you look satanic. And guess what? You still kicked her butt. So, I know how this one came out. This is extraordinary in that we are charged with computer fraud and abuse, RICO conspiracy, violation of the Wiretap Act, stored communications, misappropriation of trade secrets, Washington, D.C. Uniform Trade Secrets Act, trespass, I presume that's the alleged break into their servers, conspiracy to commit trespass. This is a hoax. Whoever filed this should be held up for sanctions. They have no case. It's a left-wing conspiracy theory by a bunch of zany left-wing conspiracy theorists. Some lawyer at Project Democracy is probably having a relationship with someone at the Democratic National Committee, so we reproduce the same phony, bogus, meritless, baseless lawsuit to get a great headline out of Roger Stone and Donald Trump Jr. and in our non-association with the Russians. It's lawfare. The same thing you see every day at InfoWars with the latest Sandy Hook lawsuit, with the claim that you were grooming an employee for gay sex. I know you, Alex. That's not you. So I mean, it's all malicious. It's just meant to get that negative headline. And this is they just want to fight. The point here is they don't seem to understand that rather than wearing us down, rather than encumbering us, this just inspires me. I love the taste of liberal blood. You want to rumble? Let's rumble. The lawyers who filed this, I need them disbarred. At a minimum, I need them sanctioned. This is an abuse of the process, Your Honor. This is absurd. They have no case. They string together facts that they find suspicious in their lefty worldview. You lost the election. There is Russian collusion, a ton of it. Unfortunately, it's with your girl Hillary. And unfortunately, they're the ones who paid $145 million to Bill and Hill, the Ruskies, passing the rubles to them, not us. Oh, Bill got $500,000 for a speaking fee. That's called a bribe. Can you say uranium won? And who's in this tar baby? Well, if it isn't Mr. Mueller, Mr. Comey, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Rosenstein himself, the U.S. attorney who perpetrates the fraud.
And that's my next point. Notice this is on the heels of the Republicans calling for a criminal investigation of Comey, Rosenstein, Hillary, McCabe. Absolutely. It's time. They got caught in a criminal conspiracy, meeting with the Russians to pay them for fake info that turned out to be fake, and paying their wives to write it up. It was even a payoff there. And Hillary giving money to McCabe's wife, $500,000. These are such arrogant, sanctimonious criminal frauds. And just like they filed this latest lawfare piece of fiction, you know they're going to have it turned into a Netflix movie before you can, click your heels once or your ruby slippers. We're going to be off to Fantasyland, off the land of Oz here, and there's going to be a whole Netflix show based on this screenplay. This is a screenplay. I bet a Hollywood person wrote this. This is a 100-page, however many pages, 60-something page screenplay that they put out of total Fantasy Island, land of the cuckoo's nest. Roger?
Well, if that's true, Alex, I just want to say right up front, I want James Woods to play me in the production of that screenplay.
Absolutely.
This is an abuse of the process, but it shows that it is what they are down to. Mueller is out searching for crimes that have, nothing to do with Russia. And there is, they are, every day they are more and more exposed. So they have now to launch this two-part campaign. And it has to be seen in context. This lawsuit is just part of a larger scheme of lawsuits against me, against Alex Jones, against InfoWars, against anybody who spreads the truth. And then they use the phony lawsuit and its headlines as the very rationale for removing you from the internet. In other words, it's not proven, it's the charge. This is the new journalism. No proof is necessary, no evidence. It just becomes Alex Jones said, Roger Stone said. It doesn't even need to be corroborated. The evidence, proof, these things are out the window. They point to the charge.
They defame you, they steal your identity, they put out hoaxes and frauds, then they openly call for us to be removed because they can't face the truth. But there's a large segment of America that understands it and is rallying behind us. And our listeners, our affiliates are not being bullied. We are getting so many new affiliates. We are expanding. But these lawsuits cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to see them through and countersue them, if not millions. So we need massive funding. InfoWarsStore.com. Stan, I have to say, is just as articulate as I am, maybe more so. He can certainly stay focused better than I can. They'll at least let him a little bit on some of these shows. I guess he's been around Washington 40-something years, the rest of it. He was, during most of the campaign, banned off Fox, CNN, MSNBC. CNN led the banning campaign. They were very proud of that. They're calling for my banning as well. They called for his banning on Twitter, which has happened. But imagine, I'm being accused of being a Russian agent with no proof. I'm being sued, and they're saying, because I said nobody died at Sandy Hook, and that I've brought Sandy Hook back up when it's Megyn Kelly. She says, how dare Alex Jones bring this back up when she did it on record. I mean, I released a recording of her saying we weren't going to go there, or that she might just barely mention it when the whole point was that. And then she's like, Alex Jones did it again. He brought it up on my show that I asked him to, but she doesn't say that. It's next level where we don't even really get to respond. Roger gets little bits here and there, but you've denied you're tied to Russia. You've gone over the proof. Everybody knows that. I think you just attack the narrative here that this is lawfare. This is a stunt. This is a publicity stunt yet again, and then tied into all the attacks on the free press. Because America needs to understand how those two things go together, Roger.
Look, Alex, the only thing worse in politics than being talked about is not being talked about. They attacked InfoWars. They attacked me. They attacked many of our handful of comrades who are amazingly effective simply because we are effective. they would not be launching these kind of campaigns. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on bots denigrating you, InfoWars, me, regurgitating the Gutenberg 2.0 lies, the Julian Assange lies, the WikiLeaks lies, the Podesta email lies. This lawsuit says yet again, Stone predicted with great accuracy the future releases of WikiLeaks. Yes, it's called coincidence and working your sources, but they have no proof. It's a fantasy, a fairy tale, a left-wing conspiracy theory. And it is going to be used for fundraising purposes. You see, give to the DNC. Help us in our lawsuit against the bad guys. This outfit, Project Democracy, which is an Obama-blessed front organization, the alum of the Obama administration suing me using all these expensive white shoe, arrogant lefty lawyers, all of whom are going to get sanctioned before this is over. And they are fundraising at it. Give us 25, 50, 1,000, 10,000 to help beat the crap out of.
And by the way, you're not just saying that Obama founded this. They admit in February of last year, Obama created it to stop the Trump agenda. That's the headline, and it's targeting everybody. That's why listeners have to understand. We're not kidding here. If you don't buy the products, if you don't support us, if you don't buy the products at InfoWarsStore.com, we will not weather this. Roger has $1 million. That's most of the money he had. I guess I did just say it, with all these fake suits, and he's winning them. But Roger, are you going to do a slapback for the suit you won in New York when you got sued for defamation? Or does New York have a slapback? I'm told I've got a countersue. I just countersued last week in D.C. You were there, against Georgetown. Zero mainstream media coverage that I've countersued them.
Rather than, I want to fight to have most of these dismissed because I want to focus my attention on a lawsuit to reveal whether or not, as I believe, and I believe I can prove in a court of law, I was subject of an unconstitutional, politically motivated FISA warrant for surveillance, along with Paul Manafort and Carter Page. Numerous mainstream media publications, including the New York Times, have asserted that that is the case. The government refuses to admit it in their legal wrangling with Manafort and his attorneys, and that is the lawsuit that I have to pursue. They have no probable cause to have examined my personal communications, other than the fact that I was for Donald Trump and an advisor of his. And that is their interest. The same reason at that juncture, Manafort was also targeted. So that's the lawsuit I want to focus on. I'm going on offense here, Alex. We will deal with all of these, and we will seek sanctions and punishment for those who waste the court's time this kind of frivolous crap.
Absolutely. Great job, Roger Stone. I got one more question. We're back in 60 seconds. It's defamatory, but it's filed into court, so it has some protections, not once the media picks it up. Because they've thrown a temper tantrum because they lost the election and the country's coming back, and they're the globalists and they're the ones in bed with Russia. Roger's getting hundreds of calls. He's going to be a very busy person defending his First Amendment, his rights, you name it. But the Democratic Party is now going after individuals. Talk about bullying. This is unprecedented. And it shows their desperation. All this with the backdrop of Comey, Mueller, McCabe, all caught in perjury to Congress. Congress is now saying this, not just me months ago, but I showed you the spots where he changed testimony week to week, month to month, all those testimonies. Comey's caught. He lied and said he wasn't leaking, been caught leaking. I mean, they are in a lot of trouble. If Sessions hadn't been, the word is that he was castrated by Nancy Pelosi in a wood chipping accident. I mean, I'm being sarcastic here, but this has become downright treacherous and treasonous, and it's becoming a dereliction of duty by the president. It isn't just about political points. I've studied history that I've never seen anyone in this country, any party, this mad dog, classical authoritarian, bullying, persecution, committing crimes, and then pointing the finger at us who've done nothing, no evidence of anything after giant investigations. We're all been wiretapped. We got documents over a year ago that I've been wiretapped. And, I mean, there's nothing there. There's nothing going on. But they don't care. They just keep pressing and pressing. So just briefly, the backdrop of this, Roger, with Comey bizarrely running around falling on his face and just all of this sanctimonious garbage by this group of criminals. Don't they get, they're probably not going to be able to set us up or get Trump. The bullying isn't intimidating us. And Even if they were able to take us out and take Trump out, the world's moved on. Nationalism, populism's exploding, globalism's in retreat, Soros is in trouble. Now, those of us that are on the front line, we're taking the brunt of their counter-assault, so we need financial support, prayers. Local affiliates need to be thanked that they're carrying this. This is the... So just any other key tidbits about the point in history we are right now?
Let me just show you how wild the deep state and the left is in these lawsuit strategy. John Brennan, General James Clapper, you remember him, the guy who lied to Congress under oath about the metadata collection program on Americans. Susan Rice, the entire front line of the deep state, filed a brief calling themselves a friend of the court in this exact same lawsuit where Project Democracy is suing Donald Trump and I. Why are these big shots in the deep state filing suits? And their paper says the Russians often use political consultants as cutouts. That's what it says. It doesn't say that I am one. It doesn't say they have evidence of one. They just say it occurs, like, bears take a dump in the woods or the sky is blue.
It's like the cherry blossoms are beautiful in April and May in D.C. It's like, oh, well, since the cherry blossoms are out, it means Roger Stone's guilty. I know these lawsuits against me, it'll say, this particular host, Owen Schroyer, said this, and it's not even true. And then this person, that's why we're suing him. And then they say, Kit Daniels, who's not even in a lawsuit. It's like a lot of it doesn't even match up. It's like insane.
Yeah, no, reading their lawsuit, it's a work of fiction, spinning together a bunch of things that they read about in the newspaper but they didn't like, or that their fake news sites produced that is not factually correct. They're very big on that. It's interesting the way now Newsweek, for example, which is essentially the purchase of the trade name Newsweek, not the Newsweek magazine or the company that was respectable you once know, now is in the hand of crazy leftists who pump out fake news day and night. So be aware. If you see Newsweek, it's most likely bogus, whatever they reprint.
Yeah, it's basically a retread of BuzzFeed and all the rest of it. Politico got so discredited, they created Axios. They're all having to create new organizations and new names because they're so discredited.
It's exactly right. Meanwhile, you're absolutely right, Alex. This has cost me almost $1 million. StoneDefenseFund.com is where you send your contribution. I already have to deal with with Senate Intelligence and Judiciary Committee requests, and I'm going to end up testifying there. They've asked for an enormous dump of documents, all of which are innocuous, by the way, and there's not nearly as much as they might think. But I have those legal costs. Now I have the Project Democracy suit where we've been ordered to give oral arguments in our motion to dismiss, very rare. And now this lawsuit that I have to defend. So it's an attempt to bankrupt my family. It's an attempt to distract me when I should be at the ramparts fighting to protect this reformist outsider president. I don't agree with him on Syria. I don't like the idea that he signed the budget deal. But he's a hell of a lot better than Hillary Clinton. That I do know.
God bless you, Roger. It's good to be working with you. There he goes. He'll be back later.